That's right. Dude, listen to this quote. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Hope you're ready to take notes and listen to the quote. Because here's how it works. Every day, wake up to the morning 5 planner. 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. No snooze button. No phone first thing in the morning. Gratitude and goals. Take care of the physical and send out an encouraging message. 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. And this planner helps you do that. And at the very top of every page of the planner, there is a quote submitted by an actual member from our community. All right, so this is not their quote. This is their favorite quote that they send over. Members of the community send it in. We read the quote. It's awesome. So got up this morning. No snooze button, no phone, very little sleep, which I'll talk about here in just a little bit. Very little sleep. Grabbed my planner, did my thing, and Eileen Mitnick. What a name, right? Eileen Mitnick. She, at some point in the past, submitted this quote, and the words that she submitted are act as if.
But when you have a dream, it doesn't often come at you screaming in your face, this is who you are. This is what you must be for the rest of your life. Sometimes a dream almost whispers. And I've always said to my kids, the hardest thing to listen to, your instincts, your human personal intuition, always whispers. It never shouts. You know, when a journalist asked me years ago a question I really couldn't answer, they said, what do you do? Why do you do this? And I don't know where it came from, but I sort of turned to the journalist in a flip kind of way. I said, I dream for a living. Years later, I realized, well, that's exactly what I do. I dream for a living. This is what I've done all my life. This is what I wanted to do with my life. And I think it all started out when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. And my father came over to me and said, I'm going to take you to see the greatest show on earth. It was a movie about a circus, and I had never seen a movie before. That was the first movie I ever saw, Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth. I had never seen a motion picture before. So I knew television, but I didn't know movies. That was my first movie experience. Now, in the center of this movie, if any of you remember the Cecil B. DeMille film, The Greatest Show on Earth, there's a tremendous train wreck where a train speeding along the tracks is encountered by a car, a person trying to stop the train to flag down the train, and the train hits the car flips over the top of the engine, and the train goes off the tracks, and there's a tremendous disaster where all the cars pile up. It was a special effect sequence. Later, I learned it was a miniature train, but it was as real as I've ever seen anything in my life. It was the greatest disaster I ever beheld, and for me, it began my interest not in making movies, but in asking my dad to get me a Lino electric train. So I went from wanting to become part of this incredible experience to wanting to own my first electric train. And that holiday season, my dad got me my first Lionel engine and a little coal car and a caboose and a few passenger cars. And the next year, I asked for the same thing. I said, I'd like another engine. So I had 2 trains. And as I got older, I began to collect every year more and more cars and people and semaphores and crossing signals. I became a complete electric train nut. And I was really interested in seeing what it would look like if I could recreate that memory, now several years old, of the greatest show on earth, and could I recreate the train wreck? And I actually took my 2 trains and I just rammed them into each other. And they broke, and I told my dad the train had broke, and he said, how did it happen? I said, I rammed them into each other, and my dad had them repaired. And the next week, I crashed my trains into each other again, and the other train broke. And my dad said, look, I'm going to take the train set away. If you crash these things into each other one more time, you're not going to have trains anymore. But there was something about whatever the primal sense of wanting to destroy something because of that movie, whatever got into me, I needed to see those trains crash into each other. And so I also didn't want to lose my train set. My dad had sitting around the house, which I always had taken for granted, this little 8 millimeter Kodak film movie camera with a turret that had three lenses, kind of wide, medium, and close-up lens. I never really bothered with the camera, but I thought, well, I know what I can do. What if I film the trains crashing into each other? I can just watch the film over and over and over again. And that's how I made my first movie. I shot one train, all in the camera. I didn't have an editing machine. I just put the camera low to the track, the way we as children like to put our eyes close to the toys we're playing with, so the scale seems to be, the scale seems to be realistic. And I just filmed one train going left to right. I filmed the other train, cut the camera, turn it around, the other train coming right to left. And intuitively, I figured out if I put the camera in the middle and they met in the middle, I'd have my train wreck. Well, that's exactly what I did. Luckily, the trains didn't break, but I looked at that film over and over and over again. And then I thought, I wonder what else I could do with this camera. And that's how it began. And that's how I became a director. I didn't have a choice. When you have a dream, and the dream isn't something you dream and then it happens, the dream is something you never knew was going to come into your life. Dreams always come from behind you, not right between your eyes. It sneaks up on you. But when you have a dream, it doesn't often come at you screaming in your face, this is who you are. This is what you must be for the rest of your life. Sometimes a dream almost whispers. And I've always said to my kids, the hardest thing to listen to, your instincts, your human personal intuition, always whispers. It never shouts. Very hard to hear. So you have to, every day of your lives, be ready to hear what whispers in your ear. It very rarely shouts. And if you can listen to the whisper, and if it tickles your heart, and it's something you think you want to do for the rest of your life, then that is going to be what you do for the rest of your life, and we will benefit from everything you do.
Act as if. Powerful, right? Incredibly powerful. I love that story. Steven Spielberg, also there's stories, if you look him up, and there's stories of him acting as though he's a movie producer. He breaks into the studio through a tour and sneaks off, and then just acts like he belongs there for days. Just acts like he works there, even though he doesn't. Act as if. The mind is a powerful tool. It's trying to take you and I on a journey. Sometimes we just have to get out of the way and let it happen.
Good morning and welcome to #Rise and Grind, the #1 morning show in the world filled with motivation, education, and inspiration. I am your host, Glenn Lundy, husband to 1, father to 8, and the founder of the 800% Club, the club designed to help you unlock your full potential. Each episode is filled with celebrity interviews, inspiring conversations, and the strategies you need to get ahead in your career and your life. So grab your pen and turn up the volume, because it's time to rise and grind.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, today is, what is today? Today is Friday. That's right. Today is Friday, July 21st, 2023. That's right. Today is Friday, July 21st, 2023. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Friday, July 21st, 2023. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most. And I do mean the absolute most of this absolutely incredible day. I'm coming to you live from Cumming, Georgia. That's right, I'm here in Cumming, Georgia, where today I get the honor of spending time with the Beaver Toyota organization. That's right, Beaver Toyota here in Cumming, Georgia. They're an incredible dealership. They've had a lot of success in the last 4 or 5 years, really. They've had a lot of success. They're just an amazing group of humans. And one of the things I really love about this organization and many of the organizations that we have in our 800% club is that what I really love is these guys and girls are always pouring back into the community, like huge pouring back into the community. And so recently, I know they did this backpack drive. They filled a bunch of backpacks and shot those out to kids all over the area, and so on and so forth. They have a big grilling area out front, and they grill up hot dogs and hamburgers and have different events at their dealership. I mean, it's a dealership like nothing you've ever seen. They have a hair salon in the dealership. They have lockers for their employees with their names on them. Looks like you're in an NBA locker room. They do a lot of phenomenal things for their people and for their community, and so it's always energizing when I get to spend time with them in person. Right? It's just an incredible organization, and so somebody says, "Fix your sound." What's wrong with the sound? What is wrong with the sound? Talk to me. What is wrong with the sound? What is wrong with the sound? I thought it was fine. I don't see any other comments on it. I just see one person that said, "Fix your sound." Maybe it was that one person. Yeah, everybody says, "Sounds fine." I hear you, big bro. Pastor Jeff, you're a sound engineer. I'm not listening to you. It sounds good and clear on mine end. It sounds just perfect. It's fine. Keep going. Okay, good. Okay, so for some people, it's low and muffled. For everyone else, it's great. Daryl says, sounds like cheap radio. Yeah, for some reason. Listen to that. I don't know why my mic is doing that. Yeah, it's super tin-like. That part, I don't know. All I can do is do the feeds. But yes, I hear that part. That's why I'm trying not to touch the mic at all. So I don't know. Maybe mics go bad over time. Maybe because this is my travel mic. Maybe I need to use new mics. Everything's plugged in tight though, Pastor Jeff. But if I barely even touch the cord on this thing, it makes all kinds of noise. I don't really know what that is all about. So, anyways, with that said, here in Cumming, Georgia, and it's interesting, right? I'm going to teach you something real quick. All right, I'm going to teach you something real quick because me, my wife, our company, we bought a jet back in December because I do a lot of travel. If you watch this show, you know that. And my guess is many of you that are watching this show are likely to buy a jet one day too. That's my guess, right? My guess is many of you are likely to buy your own jet one day in the future, and at least I hope you do, because it's a pretty incredible experience once you're able to do that. But there's quite a few things that I've learned. Quite a few things that you learn when it comes to jet ownership. All right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about a jet. All right. First thing is just when you fly commercially, right? These are all jets, big jets that when you fly commercially. And as you know, there are often delays, right? There's often delays when it comes to flying with Delta, American Airlines, so on and so forth. There can be delays for different reasons. A lot of times, there can be delays for weather. There can be delays for whatever. A lot of times, there are delays because of maintenance. Because, see, there's these super strenuous conditions when it comes to air travel, which is what we want. We want them to be super safe, right? Because you don't want planes falling out of the sky. We don't want to die, and we definitely don't want to drop big old planes on people's heads. It's a very dangerous situation. So lots of incredible. There's lots of maintenance, and these are big, heavy machines that are flying through the air, landing, big impacts, so on and so forth, right? So there are maintenance issues often, and a maintenance issue is like anything, a little light, a little this, a little that, and they gotta check it out. So a lot of times your delays on commercial flights are from maintenance issues. Now, here's the difference between you owning a jet versus the commercial jet. When you own a jet and there's a maintenance issue, right? They do a flight check. There's a maintenance issue. You're now grounded until you fix that maintenance issue. Well, unlike a commercial airline, you don't have a whole crew of people ready to just zip out and like fix the maintenance on your plane, right? So commercial maintenance issue, crew comes out, fixes the issue, passengers have a delay, they go about their business, or they just flip that out. Make sure that switch under the gain. What are you talking about, man? I don't know what Pastor Jeff's talking about, man. I don't know. So the um the when there's a maintenance issue commercially, it gets fixed, you get delayed, or they replace the plane and you keep going because they have a whole fleet of planes, right? Not just one plane. They got a whole fleet of planes. Well, when you have this awesome private jet and there's a maintenance issue, you don't have a fleet of planes, so you're not just replacing it with another plane, okay? And you don't have a crew that's just going to come fix this maintenance item. So basically, here's what I'm saying. For those of you that are driving around with a check engine light on, until you have time to go fix the check engine light, that ain't how it works in the private jet world. So the plan was for me to do the show this morning from my studio in Lexington, Kentucky, and then drive to the airport, jump on the jet, and fly to Cumming, Georgia. That flight would take roughly about an hour and 15 minutes. So I would leave my house at 6:45-ish a.m. and I'd be in Cumming, Georgia by 8. That's how that would work. And then I'd go to the dealership at 8:30. Well, in the private jet world, when something goes wrong, you get a message like this. So this is the message from my pilot yesterday at 11:28 a.m. Hey Glenn, plane needs to get checked out by maintenance. Not up for the trip at the moment. Talking to mechanic now. Okay, please update. I will book at least one way to Atlanta. Yes, sir, will do. I think I can get it looked at today. Fairly certain it's a quick fix, but no guarantee. I bet I can get you Friday evening, but the morning may be tight. Now, here's the thing. Getting me to Atlanta or Cumming, Georgia Friday evening does me no good because my responsibility to my client is Friday morning, not Friday evening, right? So it's instant pivot. Okay, great. What do we got to do? All right, we pop on, we call Delta, or we go online. Delta's got a flight out last night. Delta's flight is scheduled to leave at 7:57 last night. So we hurry, do the thing. My wife makes some arrangements. We move around. She gets me to the airport. The previous couple Delta flights had been delayed. My flight's delayed. It gets delayed a little longer. I'm not sure it's going to go, but I know I've got a responsibility to my client, so I'm hanging it out. Finally, we get on the plane. We fly to Atlanta. Now, once I get to Atlanta, I still have to drive 50 miles, which I don't know what's going on in Atlanta, man. Atlanta's a crazy place, though, bro. Like, this is the little subway, the little train car at Atlanta Airport. Like, this is what it looked like at 11 o'clock last night. Like, packed, wall to wall, people everywhere, dude. And then even the interstate. I'm driving on the interstate. It's 8 lanes wide. 8 lanes wide, and there's cars everywhere. Right? Like, what is going on? This is nuts, right? So it's land, take the plane, train, get your bags, go to the rental car train, take a train, get a rental car, which the rental car place was nuts because a bunch of flights had gotten delayed. People were fighting all over the place. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. Get in the car, drive, get here to the hotel 12:30 last night. Then I got to unpack. Then I got to set up the studio. Got to do all those. I get to set up the studio and do all of those incredible things so that I can be here with you in the morning. And based on my sleep cycles, I only have enough time to sleep 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm coming to you live on 2 hours and 10 minutes of sleep. But why I share all that with you is when you buy your jet in the future, I just want you to know that it's not all planes, trains, and automobiles. Life isn't just all of a sudden, amazing and simple. And these are all first world problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. But I just wanted to share so that you have that wisdom and knowledge so that you'll be prepared. That sometimes what you think is going to take you an hour and 15 minutes first thing in the morning ends up taking you 8 hours the night before. That's how that works. All right? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're supposed to do something on this show, but I don't know. I'm scared with all the sound, the mics, the music. Let me see.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. Hashtag rise and grind, hashtag rise and grind. First thing on my mind, early in the morning time. Daily motivation, feeling so divine. Waking up the next.
Let's do a little dancing on this show.
Hashtag rise and grind.
I'm supposed to say good morning to you on this show.
Hashtag rise and grind.
The music sounds perfect, says Dustin, but then when I talk over it, you'll probably get an echo. Is it good? Alright, I'm going to say good morning to just a couple people. Sensitive this morning. I'm going to say good morning to Valerie Oakley. Yeah, I've checked the mic and the mic cable multiple times, Pastor Jeff. This is just how it works, bro. In our world. Nothing
Good morning.
ever,
All my people for the sunrise.
ever,
Into my greatest feeling,
ever,
powerful
ever
and energized. Thankful to be
consistently.
alive. Hashtag blessed. Write my
Trying
mission,
to,
vision, values, and my
great message out to the
gratitude
world.
list.
So,
I'm building
Stephanie,
up momentum.
good morning
I'm
to
making
you.
good decisions.
I
I rise, I
appreciate
grind, I
you being
get
here.
it. Ain't no
Tom
doubt that I'm
Belka, Angela
committed.
Heath, Erica
Plus,
Bassett.
who really loses if I don't win?
Clubhouse.
Can't cheat and
This is
grind.
your
Only
first
do
time.
what
Thanks
you
for
put
joining
in. So
us.
I'm mastering my mental. I'm focused on my
greatly
physical. I'm
appreciate it.
developing spiritually and
If
manifesting
you've been here
miracles.
before,
I'm gonna
thanks
get
for
it
coming
started.
back.
Have a party in the
I greatly
morning,
appreciate
and I'm
it.
awake. The world is so alarming. I hashtag rise and
Alright,
grind.
we're gonna kill that. We're gonna kill that because I know it can't sound great, and we're gonna dive right in. So, we've been in this series called Limitless with Jim Quick. We're gonna wrap that series up today. Before we do, though, my friend Heather Parody wanted to share something with you on this great, amazing, what we call Fitness Friday.
Fam, I gotta vent a little bit. It's summertime, and one of the hardest things with fitness is keeping these children active, getting them outside, getting them away from the computer screens. Come here, watch this. See, look what I mean. Look what I mean. Look at this. Hello? Hello? Earth to children. Earth to children. You know what these kids need? They need some Coach Youngin in their life. Coach Youngin.
Oh, hey Heather.
Hey, my friend.
So I heard you were having a hard time staying active. Is that right?
No, it's not me, it's them, okay? It's like there's no purpose going on.
And speaking of purpose, you have a beautiful family. Did you know that families that work out together strengthen their muscles, strengthen their emotions, and strengthen their brains, all together to collectively become stronger as a unit?
Come on.
Sounds like a beautiful purpose to me. On top of this, it helps them build a stronger emotional facet with the family.
Don't you want a stronger emotional facet with the family? Yeah.
I'm out of here, Heather. I gotta finish roughing this game, get back to these youngins. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach Youngin.
And don't forget, stay active. See ya.
So you need to get it together and let's do some push-ups right now. Let me see some. Yeah, I hope you have fun with that.
I grew up, some of you know, with learning challenges, very severe. When I was 5 years old in kindergarten class, I had a very bad fall, had traumatic brain injury, rushed to the hospital, and my parents, the way they describe it, said I was never the same, meaning that before I was as a kid, very playful, very curious, very energized, but I became extremely closed down and shut down. I had very poor focus. I couldn't remember anything. My teachers would repeat themselves over and over again, and then I learned to just play along and pretend to understand, but I didn't really understand. It took me 3 years longer just to learn how to read. And it was just, it's like pretty traumatic as a child. When they passed around that book, do you remember that? And you had to read out loud, and every single time that book got closer, I would go out of my mind. I think that's where a lot of fear of public speaking came from, is we learned it, right? Because I would get the book, and honestly, these words meant nothing to me, and I would be so embarrassed, I would just pass it on to the next person. When I was 9 years old, I was struggling so badly. I didn't get the lesson. I was slowing down the class. You could tell the teacher was giving extra attention, but the other kids started to tease me for it, and the teacher came to my defense and pointed out that I was different. But all I remember her doing, she pointed at me from the whole class and said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." And that label became my limit. It was a good intention, right? But adults in general have to be very careful with our external words because they become a child's internal words. You get that? Like for me, like where it manifested every time I did badly on a test, which was like all the time. Every time I wasn't picked for sports, which was all the time. I would say, oh, because I have the broken brain, right? And that became my inner self-talk. That's why I started with belief first, because if you believe you can or can't, either way, you're right. Because all behavior is belief-driven. If you believe you can or believe you can't, either way, what? Henry Ford said that, right? If you believe you can or believe you can't, either way, you're right, you're correct. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Is that true? If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Then they become yours, right? What did Roger Bannister do famously in 1954? The 4-minute mile, right? Throughout human history, nobody could run a mile in less than 4 minutes. And then if you saw the ESPN special, did you see the documentary? He would visualize himself crossing the finish line, and in his mind, look at the clock, it says 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Because he knows what you know, that success is an inside-out process, right? It's about taking the invisible and making it visible. That the human brain doesn't know the difference between something you vividly imagine and something that is real. Because Roger Bannister, when he he not only did visualization, that wasn't the interesting part of the documentary. What was interesting to me is nobody could do it for thousands of years. One person does it, what happens after that? Yeah. And then was there big advancements in shoe technology or nutritional support, training methodology? No. Where was the change? A belief. Because what was the belief back then? Not only that it was impossible, it was that you would die trying. That if the human heart couldn't sustain a sub 4-minute mile, it would explode in your chest. Now, I'm a runner, right? That wouldn't keep me from running. That would keep me from jogging, right? I'd be so scared because all behavior is belief-driven. When we take responsibility for something, we don't blame and complain. As Jocko talks about, we extreme ownership, we own it, right? Then we have great power to make things better, right? And I think the most important thing to be responsible for, honestly, is how you feel. So many of us, we get the weather and we react, and we're human beings, we're thermometers sometimes. We react to politics, we react to weather, we react to how people treat us. But in actuality, we give up our sovereignty, right? But in actuality, who controls this? We do. And so the thing is anything worth having is worth doing, right? And I'm not saying it's necessarily easy, but I'm telling you it's worth it. For example, the number one business etiquette networking skill there is remembering people's names. Because if you can't do that, it doesn't matter what you say after that, right? And so if someone feels disrespected or that you don't care, or they're not important, right? Then, so here's the thing, the exercise, like I'm very good at remembering names. You could watch me memorizing like an audience full of people's names, but I haven't gotten much better after 30, 60 days of practice, right? Because once you know how to drive, once you know how to type, once you know how to tie your shoes, it's just what you do, right? So memory is a skill, and everybody could do it. We just never took a class on it, right? So I put in my Instagram link, like actually a 3-part video on how to remember names, how to do these things. So it's there for you, it's free, right? But you need to be able to practice. How long does it take to change a habit? 21 days, 30 days, some people say 66 days. You know, the consistency, if you're persistent, you could achieve it, but if you're consistent, you get to keep it, just like sales, right? So the consistency compounds. Little by little, a little bit becomes a lot. This will give you such an unfair advantage, all right? And then that's the E is exercise. And then finally, fast. The F, to learn any subject faster or skill, forget. Start with forgetting, meaning the challenge, what slows people down often is this idea that, oh, I know this already. And here's the thing, there's so much new information. That the half-life of information keeps getting smaller and smaller, meaning how fast and quickly information becomes outdated. Because what worked in marketing or sales or health and wellness is maybe not what worked 2 years ago. So we have to empty our cup, right? They call it a beginner's mind, right? So you empty your cup so you can put new information in, because what could keep you from learning? So many people say that they have 20 years of experience. When you talk to them, you find out and discover they've only had 1 year of experience that they've repeated 20 times. Does that make sense? Because they're not updating their knowledge, skills, and abilities.
They only have 1 year of experience, or 1 day of experience, really, that they've repeated hundreds, possibly even thousands of times. Jim Quick is such a smart dude, man, and I take it even one step further. I think consistency is great, but consistency is still not clear. I think daily is very, very, very clear. I consistently work out. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean you consistently work out once a year? Because consistently working out once a year ain't going to get you where you want to go. I'm consistently faithful to my spouse. Go tell your spouse that you're consistently faithful. They'll be like, what? What do you mean consistently? What does that mean? No. Daily. Every day. I love you every day, honey. I love you every day. So listen. What you believe guides your behavior. What you believe guides your actions. What you believe will determine how much of your potential you reach. And you do have this limitless potential. Limitless. You're a child of God, the God of the universe, God that made everything. And that God made you to be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. Not an average version, not a little bit below average, not a little bit above average, but the absolute best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And so I challenge you to reach far beyond anything that you possibly imagined before, and act as if you can achieve it, and the world will change around you. Thanks for spending time with me this week. Thanks for bearing with our technological issues, which we seem to have plethora of this week. Some weeks are better than other weeks. But thanks for bearing with that. Thanks for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back next Monday morning, to do it all over again, 5:30 a.m. See you then. Peace.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. Hashtag rise and grind, hashtag rise and grind.